An evaluation system implemented by HISD's new state-appointed administration has been a source of contention this year. The district says the goal is to improve teacher effectiveness and better prepare kids for the future. But some people say the evaluation system is intimidating and subjective. KPRC 2 is embedded at HISD's Fleming Middle School. The goal is to give an opportunity to see what's happening inside one of the district's schools during the state takeover. Candace Burns has been leading our coverage, and she's joining us in Studio A now to further the conversation this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Zach. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you here. So talk to us about, going into Fleming, learning more about the evaluation process. What did you learn? Who did you talk to?
So I got a chance to speak with Principal Devin Adams. I told him we wanted to learn more about this evaluation system. A lot of teachers have been going to school board meetings. There have been lots of protests with teachers saying, this feels like a hostile work environment. This evaluation doesn't seem fair. So we wanted to see what it was and how it was working, at least at Fleming. And I always say, because it's important to say, Fleming is Fleming. Things work at Fleming the way that they work at Fleming. There's so many factors that play in every campus for something to work or for something not to work. So this is the perspective of Fleming. The principal walked me through an evaluation with one of the teachers, and he talked to me about how they go and the purpose of them. So that's what we spent the day doing.
And again, you're emphasizing here that not one size does not fit all.
And that's what all the teachers and principals tell me too. So while it might work at Fleming or it might work at another campus,
doesn't mean it's going to work at Fleming or the other school.
It just all depends, People have to buy into it. People have to, like Mr. Adams always says, put their own flavor on it to make it work. But some people feel constrained. They feel like they have to stick to this, and it feels like a cookie cutter type of environment for them. And even Mr. Adams said at the beginning, when they were learning the system, they were using this as kind of like a checklist, and it did feel kind of constraining. But then they realized, oh, we can take this and we can add our personality to it. We can bring ourselves into this classroom and make sure we're following these guidelines, but we're still ourselves.
And do these individual schools have the means, the freedom to do that, to tailor it to what they want?
Right. So yes, I'm holding this up. I didn't explain what this is. This is the guide. This is what they call a spot observation form. So there's two types of observations that a principal will make. The people who conduct these classroom visits, these are where the evaluations happen.
Principals are conducting these.
And assistant principals. They go into classrooms, and the goal is to provide coaching, on-the-spot coaching for the teachers. Sometimes it's just a daily visit to the classroom, and the principal might say, hey, I noticed you didn't list the objective of the day on the board here. You need to do that, right? And then the other times, the second evaluation is a spot evaluation, and this one matters because the teacher is the principal, the assistant principal are making sure that the teacher's hitting all of the things in this column. And for the people obviously who can't read this, some of the things that they're looking at is the lesson objective. Are you following what you're supposed to be following to make sure that if the kids are supposed to be learning multiplication today, you aren't working on division. We're all on this, we're all aligned. Then there's classroom management. Are the kids behaving? Are they participating in the lesson? So they're looking at all of these things, and then they're giving the teacher a score, a 1, a 2, a 3. So this one is 0 out of 1, 0 out of 3, or 0, 2, 3, 0, 2, 3. At the end, they would add all of these up, and then the teacher would be given a score. And I think they have to take 3 or 4 of these a year. At the end of the evaluation, this is what makes it very controversial. Is that at the end of the 4 evaluations at the end of the year, all of this factors, not the only factor, but it's one of the factors that determine and will determine a teacher's compensation. And so that is.
May I see this just really quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just curious to look at it myself. So I have a question for you. Are these visits announced? Do you know?
That I don't know.
I think back to our time in school, my time in school, and I remember, maybe it was once a semester, the principal or the assistant principal would sit in the classroom and monitor the teacher's curriculum. And I just was curious if the
spot observations, the one that matter, maybe those are, I didn't ask that, but I know that daily observations, Mr. Adams says he makes it a point to spend time in the classroom, put his head in there, maybe he's in there for a couple minutes. He goes to a classroom every day, and those are not announced.
Right.
Those, he'll be in the classroom for 10 or 15 minutes.
Gotcha.
So they're more in depth.
And at the bottom, it says overall score for this spot
Right.
observation. Unsatisfactory, progressing,
Right.
proficient, proficient 2, and
Exemplary.
exemplary.
Right.
Fascinating.
And so some of the teachers who are arguing this feels like a hostile work environment, they argue that this is subjective because how do you determine I'm doing all of
Right.
these things? Like, is there like A, B, C, D that I must do in order to get a perfect score?
Right.
And there isn't. But from Mr. Adams' perspective, the district is giving that conversation to the principal and assistant principals to say, hey, this is what I want our instruction to look like, because they set goals at the beginning of the school year. These are our campus goals. This is how we're going to get there. So that's what I mean. Every campus is, if you're not doing all of those things, it could be difficult. It could be confusing. But if it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot at one time. Change is hard.
Yeah, and the district calling this, of course, necessary to close those gaps in achievement
Right.
among the schools within the district.
And they say it's just about accountability.
Yeah.
You know, holding the teachers accountable, holding the principals accountable to go do these things. And Mr. Adams said, all the way around, it's accountability. The teachers are being accountable to make sure that the kids are learning and that they're doing what they're supposed to do in the classroom. The principals, based on how the teachers do, the principals are also evaluated at the end of the year, and it also impacts their compensation. And then he said all the way up to the district level, their division superintendents, and then the actual superintendent. He says it's a circle of accountability,
Yeah.
just making sure at the center of it that the kids are getting what they're supposed to be getting, and that's according to Mr. Adams.
This is happening at all NES schools?
All NES schools,
Yeah.
but please keep in mind, because I get emails all the time. We're like, yeah, it's working at Fleming. I understand. I know every school is
Yeah.
different, and
Yeah.
it works differently for every person's experience with this is different.
I know we are embedding with Fleming. We're there. You're
And we
there.
chose Fleming.
We chose Fleming
Chose
because
Fleming.
Fleming is at the center of this whole takeover
Right,
in some
so
ways.
Fleming middle school students feed into Wheatley High School. That was,
Oh, Wheatley was at the center.
and Wheatley
yeah.
was the school where, they weren't passing every year,
Correct.
and that's what kind
Wheatley
of
was,
ignited
yes, the
state.
catalyst.
That's what they used as an opportunity to take
Yeah.
over the district. And so we thought that the demographics at Fleming were the same, very similar to what you would see at Wheatley. And also, because the kids feed into Wheatley,
Yeah.
it was just the perfect opportunity. So we requested to be able to spend a year at this campus and to see how NES works, so that we could in turn show viewers, this is what it is.
Yeah.
This is how it's working, at least at this school.
Yeah.
And you get this glimpse that you normally wouldn't have if we hadn't been able to get it onto the campus.
And I know today, and for the time being, our focus is on Fleming, but I would be interested to know, to see how this does work in other schools across the campus, which I'm sure in time we will
That is
see
right, that's
more
correct.
and more
So
of
this
that.
year, most NES schools are following
Yes.
this exact evaluation process, but the plan, according to the district, is to have all HISD schools following a very similar teacher evaluation system in the future, within the next school year. So
Okay.
we would probably see that. And another thing I want to mention too is that, okay, teacher evaluations aren't new to HISD. They've
Right.
been doing this all along. But these are different because, again, they factor into a teacher's compensation and the way that the district sees them as overall effective. Are they effective in the classroom based on this and a number of other factors? But this is a big one. And so that's different. In the past, it was
The compensation was not necessarily
there was
attached.
no really consequences.
Yeah.
It was kind of just, we are supposed to do an evaluation,
Yeah.
check, but there was no really
Right.
consequence or nothing.
This is a direct reward almost
Right.
if you're doing well. Now, if a teacher receives what's the middle of the road here, a proficient score, is there an opportunity for them to then meet with their principal, their assistant principal, in hopes of advancing that
And
score?
that's the exact goal, from what I'm understanding,
Yes.
from reading the plan and listening to the superintendent talk, is to have those opportunities to say, how can I move you from proficient to exemplary? Like, what can we do? And what's your goals as a teacher to get there? So every year, you get a
Yeah.
chance to move up, and you get a chance.
So it's a year. You have to wait 1 year though?
Well, because you don't even know until the end of the year after they average
Oh,
out all the
okay.
scores and everything. So you'll know for next year
Yeah.
where you fit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can work to move up for the next year following this evaluation. Also,
Yes.
So in the past too, because I didn't finish the statement, evaluations in the past weren't tied to compensation, and usually it was just experience. If you have been in the district for 10 years, you'll make more than a person who's coming into the district and had only
like a tier
for 1 year, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you are a great teacher, an effective teacher, and you show that, you could be making more than teachers who've been teaching for 12 years. Wow. After a certain amount of time, because you're showing that you're a highly effective teacher.
What's the reaction been like from teachers on that regard, in that regard?
The teachers that I've talked to, I haven't talked to every teacher. And there's some people who are saying this is too subjective. How can you do that? But then there are other teachers who are like, I want to be a highly effective teacher. I don't really have any concern about that. I'm going to be a highly effective teacher. But then again, there's the argument of the subjectivity. So you understand.
Yes. Do we have sound that we want to listen to?
Yes, I'm sorry. Do we know if it's working at Fleming? Is it working at Fleming? I asked Mr. Adams that, and he responded this way.
The teachers have come to understand and come to realize that all this is best practice. It's like best practices all rolled up into a ball. And how are you going to take those best practices, take it upon yourself, make it your own, and then turn it out to the students? And the students are seeing a difference.
So he's basically saying that at the beginning of the school year, there was lots of confusion.
Yeah.
There was, it's changed. People weren't exactly understanding how this worked. So there were some, a lot of anxiety about it. Now they're understanding that they can make it theirs. They can use this, and they understand that it's all about best practices.
Yeah.
How are we getting to that goal? And that's a whole lot of administrators talking about this with the teachers, having meetings, having sessions where they're learning and working together so that they're all on the same page. And they understand this isn't me just looking over your back. We have a plan to make sure our students are closing that achievement gap, and this is how we're going to do it. But again, every campus is different.
Right. So I just want to make sure I understand this right. So this evaluation happens at the end of the year?
No, that's happening throughout the year.
Oh, throughout the year.
There's like 3 or 4 of them.
Perfect. Okay, because my question was going to be, well, I don't want to wait till the end of the year to find out that I have like a C and then have to wait an entire year to get that back on track in order for me to get my paycheck.
So again, there's spot observations where this is used, and there's daily observations for the principal to be able to coach you and to say, this is what you're doing, this is how you can do it better, and this is how you can improve your spot observation score.
All part of the changes.
Yeah.
And again, some of these changes can be uncomfortable for folks. You can learn more about the changes happening inside HISD on our website. All you have to do is go to click2houston.com, search Focus on Fleming to see more of Candace's reports. As always, Candace, thank you very much for stopping by.
Happy to go and get through these.
Thank you very much. We'll be right back.